but you don't get to see this skip pull very much here. See the skip pull there up to the linebacker?
Yeah.
That shows really good feet and athleticism right there. That's a 300-pound man. Guys with this size and athleticism and intangibles at the O-line position are really hard to find. They just are. God doesn't make very many big, large human beings like that at that age that can move and are strong and things like that. There's just not a ton of them to go around. And you have to have so many of them. But because of all those reasons and based on his tape, he, to me, is an absolute no-brainer.
How to Get a College Football Scholarship, a series where we evaluate active high school football players and share with them feedback on their highlight video, updates, changes to make, as well as let them know what division they have the best chance of earning a college football scholarship at, and then ultimately what they need to do to get to the next level. And with me today is our head football coach here at Next Play, Brian Overton, who has 15 years of Division I college football recruiting experience, including in the SEC. And today we've got not a cool, but a very good player that we're going to be evaluating today. One that had reached out to us. Actually, a really, really good player. But Brian, I'll let you kind of give an intro, and then let's jump into his highlight video and get some feedback for him.
Yeah, so we're evaluating this young man here from IMG Academy down in Florida. Really good program, national program.
Great state.
Usually full of Division I athletes down there. He plays interior line, so he's playing guard in the film. He's about 6'3", 300 and some change probably. A really good looking kid. Got some really good tape. And I'll share some other things where I think he may be able to make even more value for himself going forward. But really good player, 2026. So he's got one off season, a whole another year of tape left. So really good player. So we'll just jump right into it here on his tape. So I kind of skipped ahead a little bit just to talk about some plays that I talked with him about a little bit. So I wanted to skip ahead here to 54 seconds. And this first play here is one I really liked. He's one of the reasons I'm gonna talk about some of these plays is he's a good athlete for a big man. Right, it's hard to find the good athletes that are the size that you need at the next level. And I'm talking about any division of college football. I probably say it all the time, but offensive and defensive linemen are just really hard to find. They're really good ones that have the size and the strength and athleticism. There's just not a lot of them out there. So they're really hard to find. So I'm going to start here with this play at 54. He's actually going to be pulling here. You'll be able to pick him up here on the arrow. And I liked it because, and I run it back here, it doesn't seem like much, but one, it shows a little bit of his athleticism getting out of his stance and running. But see how that guy kind of shakes around? He's a smaller guy, obviously, but he stays on the point. He keeps a good football position, and he's still able to cover him up. Instead of that guy ducking underneath and making the tackle, or something like that, he shows really good athleticism just moving his feet side to side. You see there at the end and then finishing because he's a big, strong guy. Okay?
How big is he? How big is he?
300 and some change. So he's
6'3"?
yeah, he's a big man. Same thing on that pull there and finishing the block. Really like this one right here. Okay, you're going to see, and you don't get to see this much in high school. Okay, to be honest with you, one, it's a great shot because it's the tight copy, but you don't get to see this. This play coming up right after this one, you don't get to see this skip pull very much here. See the skip pull there up to the linebacker?
Yeah.
That shows really good feet and athleticism right there. That's a 300-pound man. So
Right.
skip pull right there is a really good play that needs to be up at the front, showing his that. Now, what I did coach him on here, as he gets in this skip pull, and you can see how well he bends. So anytime you hear me talking about offensive and defensive linemen, but specifically offensive linemen, and not being a waist bender but a knee bender, see how well his knees are bent right there, and the flat, almost like a flat back he's got right there, and that's at 6'3", 300
Yeah.
pounds. So he's worked hard on his flexibility, which allows him to pop up out of this stance, and execute this skip pull here. But the one thing I coached him on is when he gets out of it, he still got a little bit too high. Once he got and cleared the center, I want him getting back down in a little better football position, under his pads a little bit, and striking that guy. But that was really good. He shows good anchor in his pass coverage here. I would like him to sit down on it a little more, kind of like he did there. And he was able to handle the guy a lot better. He anchored a lot better there. He's obviously really strong. He finishes blocks really well. Once he gets his hands on you, you're blocked. I love that he finishes like he just did right there. He shows nastiness. When he gets locked on you, he wants to finish you. And I'm just kind of letting it play. Just kind of letting it run here. I wanted to show those first couple plays because I had them shuffled on his original tape. But again, here you see him getting out in the screen game. You get to see him run a little bit, and again, once he gets locked on you, you're blocked. So he's just a really, really good player. Really good player that I think's got a ton of upside.
Yeah, I agree. I like that the lateral quickness of him is impressive at that size. So,
Yeah,
at the next level, especially with a lot of the zone reads and the RPOs, that ability to move is going to be really important, and he can absolutely do that. And like you
yeah,
said, look, he gets on somebody, they don't shed him.
yeah. And this
Now,
is
some of these guys are smaller dudes,
Yeah, they are.
but
They are. They are. But it's more about a lot of the technique and his movement skills and what you think he can help you. You can tell he's strong. This is another good one right here. He comes off this double team. You can tell he's got some football IQ and he's well coached here. He's gonna come off this double team and up to the mic. There, really good play there too. Showing some football IQ and some instincts there. Just a really good player. Really good player.
what what are your like what are your thoughts on the fact that you don't really see him going up against bigger, guys that he's going to see more in college, right? Are there plays in here that you're looking for where you're like, hey, I want to see him go against a real defensive tackle and see how he handles it, and
Yeah.
moving
So
something like that up to the front?
Yeah, so the problem is if they don't have any of that, you know what I mean. That is, to be honest with you, unless they're in certain parts of the country where the football is really good and they have other really good teams in the area, sometimes that's really hard to find. They don't really have one to put on there, to be honest with you. Kind of what you do there is as an evaluator, you just have to do what I just said. You really have to know what you're looking for in the distinguishing characteristics that make you feel like he can help your team. Like again, being a knee bender, not a waist bender. You know what I mean? Watching
Yeah.
his feet, his
Yeah.
movement skills when he's pulling. You know what I mean? And when he's out in the screen game, looking at his athleticism, is he nasty enough? Does he like to finish blocks and all those other things? And if you can find all those things, and you can kind of gauge his strength, the way he handles people when he gets locked onto them. If all those things show up, you know what I mean. You have a pretty good feeling. Now, nothing's 100% obviously, but you have a pretty good feeling that he would be able to do it for you. At the next level, because he's only going to get stronger. He's only going to become a better athlete, especially at the level that we're going to project him as. So, those are the things you
Yeah.
have to look for. But yes, I mean that does come into play. But if they don't actually, you can't necessarily hold it against them either if they don't have it because they just simply didn't play against somebody like that. You know what I mean?
Right. Right. Yeah. That's like, okay. So, Uh, so let's talk about where he's projected at. Where do you feel like,
Yeah.
based on his game film, he'll have the best chance of getting offers?
Yeah, I think he's an absolute because of these reasons right here. I'll give you the reasons first, and then I'll give you the division. Again, because like I talked about earlier, guys with this size and athleticism and intangibles at the O line position are really hard to find. They just are. Like God doesn't make very many big, large human beings like that at that age that can move and are strong and things like that. There's just not a ton of them to go around, and you have to have so many of them. You have to remember that there's a lot more offensive linemen out there than there is any other position. So you need a bunch of them, so they get gobbled up pretty quick. But because of all those reasons, and based on his tape, he to me is an absolute no-brainer FCS, G5 guy. Like right now, I think he should, I think he should have some offers in those areas right now, just on his junior tape alone. But I would project out and would not be in the least bit shocked if he got a Power Four offer, only because, like I said, they are just really hard to find. And the other reason I say that is, and I wouldn't be surprised now if he's had some, whether it's a game day visit or something to the effect of some sort of visit to a Power Four, would not shock me at all at this point. Just watching his junior tape, um, And the other thing that I really like is his upside that I talked about, in his evaluation that we sent him is, he's playing guard. I told him to start snapping every day, because I do think he shows some movement skills that can let him play center and be an effective center also at a high level if he got really comfortable snapping, which really raises your value, as an interior lineman. If you can play across all three spots in the interior, left guard, right guard, and you can snap, even if it's in a backup role, because that's a disaster. If your starting center goes down and you don't have anybody else that can do it where you can function properly, that's a
Oh
disaster
yeah.
at the college level. So the more guys they have that are have that position flex, especially on the interior with the big enough body and girth, but also the smarts, the IQ to play center, to make calls and things like that. Those guys are at a premium in the interior line. So I think he's got a lot of upside there, which may move the needle some for some Power Four teams too, heading into his senior
Yeah.
year.
Yeah, no, absolutely. So I do want to talk like he watching his film, I mean, and all the reasons we talked about as far as his ability to move, his ability to strike, his ability to not lose blocks. Like there's so many, and he's got great size. What's holding him back, or what's the difference between him and someone that you would say it's a no-brainer power four, or it's an SEC lineman,
Right.
right? What do we need to do to get there?
Yeah. So even though those guys that are the top of high school football that get recruited at a really really high level, they have every intangible that he has, and that all of them have the size. Okay, if you're getting recruited at that level, they all have the size, so you can strike that across the board, right? Um,
Right.
and he is a good athlete, and he has good feet. Those guys that if those need to continue to get better to be raised up into that echelon there, because those guys that are up on that level, they're huge. They can move. Their feet are they're good. They don't get out of a bad. They don't get in a bad football position very much. So like when he's pulling, and like I was saying, he got to the point of attack and got a little high maybe because he probably knew he could handle the guy or whatever. Those guys when they have a chance to absolutely dominate people, whether it's a smaller guy or a bigger guy or whatever, they do it. Like they absolutely dominate every block because there's not a lot of them out there, and whether it's pad level, whether it's effort, whether it's nastiness. He showed some nastiness on some of this. Now I did coach him on. He gets in a bad spot sometimes when he locks on, because it may be because they're smaller guys. He likes to twist them, and kind of take them to the ground. That's going to get called a little more, at the college level for holding. And those other guys, they get in a good football position, like the first play I showed you when he pulled, and he was in a good football position, and it was a smaller guy, and the guy was trying to slip him, and he moved his feet and just stayed in front of him and finished the block. That's what you see consistently with those really high level guys like that. They stay in a good football position, they finish every block, and they just absolutely, especially in the run game. It's just so evident. They just wipe out, one side of the line of scrimmage, because of their size, and their power. At the high school level, they really, really stand out,
Right. Okay. All right, cool, man. Brian, appreciate you jumping in and helping out and doing this evaluation. And if you have a son, regardless of whatever position that they play, and you'd like to get him evaluated to find out what divisions he has the best chance of earning a scholarship at right now. So when you are doing outreach, you're reaching out to the right schools and the right divisions, as well as what he needs to do to get to the next level. I'll leave a link in the description below, or you could see if your son meets the criteria at this point to get a professional evaluation. And if you got value from this video and you'd like to watch more videos just like it, make sure to subscribe and hit the bell notification. And if you'd like to watch our last evaluation, then you're going to want to watch this video right here.